Meg White has been argued about more than just about any drummer of her era. You've heard the criticisms: too simple, not technical, anybody can play what she does. And then along comes Dave Grohl, of all people, former Nirvana drummer, Foo Fighters frontman, and he says, quote, Meg White is like John Bonham, end quote. Wait, Bonham? The Hammer of the Gods? That Bonham? So let me tell you why Dave Grohl actually said what he said and why he's not actually wrong. Let's talk Bonham first. John Bonham is the perfect storm when it comes to drummers. He's got a monster groove, enormous heavy feel, wide swinging triplets, unbelievable footwork, powerful and somehow still relaxed. And if you mute everyone else in Led Zeppelin and leave only Bonham, you still have a lot of the music. You can still practically hear the song in your head just from his drum. That's not technique, that's identity. He stamped himself onto not only Led Zeppelin's music, but the identity and DNA of heavy music at all. You could pull him out of Led Zeppelin and drop him into another band, and he'd still sound like John Bonham. And this is something that Dave Grohl is alluding to in his comments. Now, Meg White is almost the polar opposite of Bonham. She uses very few fills. She leaves huge spaces between her hits. She has a primal beat to what she does. She's very childlike in her approach to the drums. And she has basically a homespun technique that doesn't share anything in common with Bonham at all. But if you listen closely, you can hear a stomping garage blues pulse, a slightly behind the beat tension, an almost hypnotic chant-like repetition, and her drums feel totally unique, not polished, but completely her own. If you replace Meg White with a super technical studio drummer, you won't have the white stripes. They won't sound the way they do. They won't be dangerous, they won't be mysterious. They'd be just another heavy band, and not a very interesting one. So Jack White once said that Meg's drumming was like a child painting with two colors, simple but emotionally direct. And she understood something that a lot of really highly trained drummers don't know, which is just because you can play more doesn't mean that every song needs more. So is Meg White as good as John Bonham? That's the wrong question. These two drummers are playing two entirely different styles. Bonham's greatness includes power, physical control, dynamic range, and Meg's greatness is about mood, feel, and restraint. Both of them land in the same rare category, though, that you recognize them immediately. There are drummers who can outplay Meg White all day long, technically, but almost none of them have as strong of an identity as she has. Just like there are drummers who can copy John Bonham, but almost none of them feel like Bonham. This is what Dave Grohl is pointing out. So here's the real conversation. What makes someone great at rock and roll drumming? Is it speed, complexity, the number of notes, or is it identity, taste, and emotional impact? Personally, I think it's the latter, just as it is on the guitar. However, I think it's much more difficult to get your personality across through drumming than it is to get it across through, say, being a lead guitar player. Now, whether people love her or hate her, Meg White has inspired many indie drummers, punk drummers, garage rock drummers, and minimalist players. She kind of opened a lane that really didn't exist before. So I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you think Dave Grohl is right? Did Meg White achieve the same kind of thing that Bonham did, even if she got there in a totally different way? Or do you think his comparison goes a bit too far? Let me know what you think down in the comments below.
Music Guru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.